This is what I say about the price of success. What price are you willing to pay? Because there is a cost. And at 31, I felt like a piece of shit. 31, delivering pizzas to keep my business afloat.
Coined himself the #1 motivational speaker in the UK, Burton.
I've realised something, that what success is, true success, is content and happy. If you've got loads of money and you're not content and you're not happy, that isn't success. I call it success, because that's when you start doing dumb shit.
Welcome, Brad Burton, to the Turning Your Adversity into an Asset podcast with myself, Lewis Raymond Taylor. Looking forward to diving deep as always. This podcast is a little bit unusual than a normal podcast, and that's because we like to look at the dark side of success. And that's the things that not everybody's prepared to talk about, trials and tribulations along their journey. Some people can look at the success and think that it's this overnight success story, or someone that's come from a privileged background, and little do they know what goes on behind the scenes. And I'm sure we're going to unpack one of those stories here today. Well, I know for a fact we're going to. So first of all, welcome, Brad.
Thank you, Lewis. Kicking ass as always. You know what? I used to be good looking and young like you with hair. Do you know that? How old are you?
I'm 32.
Mate, I didn't start my business till I was 31. So I'm 50 now. I know I look younger. But no, good going, mate.
You do. And do you know what? That was actually one of the things I was going to say, because let's start here. You was a pizza boy at 31, right?
31, delivering pizzas to keep my business afloat. You know, and I think this is what I say about the price of success. What price are you willing to pay? Because there is a cost, whether it's financial, emotional, spiritual, whatever. And at 31, I felt like a piece of shit delivering pizzas. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, you know, I'd been a director prior to that, and now I'm delivering pizzas at £5.90 cash in hand. Sorry, all taxes are paid. But, you know, the reality is that I always say this to people. I say, you know, you're going to have to do shit that you don't want to do to get to where you want to get to. And actually, in my case, it's delivering pizza.
And fair play to you. And you know what? I think the world is a much more privileged place right now in terms of online business. It's so easy now, isn't it? And sometimes when I hear some of my community moaning about the things that they got to do, like, oh, I've got to do a Facebook Live, or, you know, I've got to, message people online and build rapport. And I'm thinking, there's people back in the day who used to have to knock doors and, you know, bring out Yellow Pages, or, you know, deliver pizza to make this work. So take us back to when you were 31 and you were getting started. What was it like back then, you know, trying to make your first pound note?
No, I only heard this book, Get Off Your Ass. I wrote this book back in the day, and that kind of documented the reality of what it's like to run a business. Low sales, no sales, depression. In my case, a whinging wife. There's no book on that. There is now available at all good bookstores. But the reality is that somewhere along the way, you know, I remember getting on my 2s and 1s and taking them to Summerfield. That shows you when this was, 2005, whatever it was. And I actually took my 2s and 1s to Summerfield, and the Coinstar machine would like effectively count them and then give you a receipt with the value of what those coins was, less 8%. And I remember doing that, 78 quid worth of 2s and 1s and what have you. And that was it. I'd liquidated all my assets. You know, and this is the reality of running a business. Is that
so? Just quickly, Brad, because you're whereabouts are you from in the UK? First of all,
originally over in over in Salford, Manchester, but now I live in Somerset because we've got board games.
Right.
Manchester.
So we have to translate some things along the way, because some of the international audience are going to be a bit confused. So when you say 2s and 1s, are you referring to 2 and 1 pence pieces?
Correct. So
right, okay. So you used to go to the little slot machines, you know, so we're talking about where it's hanging off the edge. Okay, so I always don't take it
No, you're missing this. So over in the supermarkets, over in the UK, they have something called a Coinstar machine, which effectively you put all your change, all your you know, dimes, quarters, you put them in there. It then counts them up and gives you a receipt that says you've got £70 or $70. Then you go take it to the store. They give you the store credit, less 8%. That's what I've done.
Got it. Okay. Well, carry on. Just needed a little bit of clarification.
I forgot you're on an international audience. So that's what I did, and that was it. I'd liquidated all my assets, and I started my business £25,000 in debt. No income, a wife that wanted me to go and get a proper job. At least you know where you stand when you've got a proper job. No, you don't. Tell that to the 13,000 people from the bank that have just been let go. You know exactly where you stand when you run your own business. Skin, get used to it. That's the reality of it, but you're not going to starve to death. The risk is, if it doesn't work out, you go and get a proper job, which is exactly the same point where you started. So I started my business off. Nobody gave me a chance. Nobody give me a chance apart from me. And the first person you've got to convince is you. The bank manager laughed in my face, said you've not got enough working capital. Oh, you mean money, right? Why do people make business more complicated than it is? So you're not going to have working capital. You've got no experience, and all these people were saying, well, if it was me, it's not you. So I started the business off, and that business was a network, a national business network. And I grew it to, in total, 68,000 business networking meetings across the UK. Not bad for a guy with no qualifications, been addicted to drugs twice. You get it. You've got to work really hard to get addicted twice. I got shot at when I was 21 years old. I've got no qualifications, and I deliver pizzas at 31. And it just shows you're never too late to change direction.
Absolutely. And at 31 as well, that is really,
old.
Yeah, it's really old. Well, it's the stage I'm at now. And I thought I figured it out a little bit later on at sort of 25-ish or whatever. But yeah, fair play for turning it around. So tell us about that moment where you did turn it around. Where was that tipping point where it was like, things are starting to change now and I'm starting to get, some traction here?
Yeah, I think about 4 years after I started, so maybe 2009, 2010, I had a national reputation. I'd written 2 books. I was flying. Well, here's the thing with it, right? When I first started my business off, I was juggling finances, time, relationships, confidence, just juggling. And I thought to myself, you're going to get to a point where actually you can sit on your ass and you have other people juggling for you, and you can just sit there drinking pina coladas while everyone else juggles for you. 19 years on, let me be quite clear, I'm still frigging juggling. Now, whether I've got it wrong, right, or that's the reality of it, is the fact we're not business owners, we're jugglers. And the sooner that people realize that, the better. I started my business off with me. I had a team going back before the pandemic of 800 people across the UK. I now have a team of, That's it. I've come full circle.
Wow.
Now, here's the thing about this. I'm making more money now than I was when I had a big glass fronted office, 15 staff, 800 field people, and I'm thinking, this is crazy. Why am I doing this? Why am I working to fund a machine which is 80,000 UK pounds per month? And I look at it now and I think it's almost like a frigging mental illness. And actually, why did we start a business off? We started a business off to have a better life for our family, to spend more time with our family. And guess what? We end up spending less time with our family. The life isn't better. And I realized something at 50 years old. If I knew what I knew now, life would have been a whole lot easier, because I would have just gone the route and said, actually, why am I doing this? I'm doing it to make money so that I can enhance my family's life. And that's what I'm at the moment.
So you've had that realization now that it's about money. Was there something else that was driving you, 19 years ago, whatever it was, that made you build this big empire?
Absolutely. It wasn't about money. It was about making a life for myself. And I kind of forgot that in my traffic. Now, where I'm at now, I think what success is, and people will think this is bullshit. But take it from me as a guy who's come from nothing, who's built up a multi-million-pound business and is now in a situation where he's not got a multi-million-pound business, because the pandemic will do that to a national organisation that runs 500 business networking meetings in real life across the UK. I've realised something, that what success is, true success is content and happy. If you're content and happy, great. If you've got loads of money and you're not content and you're not happy, that isn't success. I call it success, because that's when you start doing dumb shit, right? Take it from me, right? If you ain't happy and you've got loads of money, it gives you access. The only reason I stopped doing cocaine, the only reason back in the day, you're talking when I was 27, so we're talking 23 years. Oh my God. But the only reason I stopped doing it is I run out of money. Now, this is the bit where you steal your mum's Hoover or a vacuum and you go and sell it secondhand, or you'd stop. And that's what I did. I stopped.
Wow. Wow, I love that success. I've never heard of that before. And you know what? I can even relate, and I hold my hands up and I say that, sometimes I do work too hard, and I am prone to sort of, pushing those boundaries. I also think it's necessary. It's conflicting, isn't it? In those early years, you've got to kind of push yourself and you've got to kind of thrust yourself into this new environment, this new identity, and it is required, but at the same time, at the cost of something. And, if you do...
People lose their identity as to who they are, who and what they are. Same goes for me. Am I Brad Burton, the street kid from Salford, right? Because that's what I am. Proper, how are you doing? You all right? Street kid from Salford. Or am I Brad Burton, the 4-time best-selling author, the UK's #1 motivational business speaker, the founder? Two sides of the same coin. And there's a good version of you, Lewis, and quite clearly there's a not so good version of you. And every single day, the biggest fight of our lives is as to who and what version of us appears. And I think it's like Brexit. in that somewhere along the way, that negative version of me, the destructive version of me, lost the fight. It was 49% negative, 51% positive. And I, over the last many, many years, have kind of learned how to control that. And I would suggest that I'm 5% negative in that guy and 95% of the other one. I've kind of turned up the volume on the good version and turned down the version on the negative version, turned down the volume on the negative version. And I think that that's what the secret to success is. We spend so much money on doing all these systems and processes. Great. But actually, what people don't do is this. Because there's our best chance of success is this, our best chance of failure is this. Two sides of the same coin.
And just for the record, Brad is pointing to his head right now, just for people listening on the podcast. And it's true. Obviously, we can't deny, and it's the foundations in which our business is built upon. Coaching, mindset, personal development. You can't get anywhere without that stuff. And by the sounds of it, yours has been a more of a gradual shift. Some people have these epiphany moments, but yours has been a bit of a journey by the sounds of things, and it's ever evolving and it never ends.
Well, of course. But equally, there was a big shift 18 months ago. Literally, it happened instantly. It was almost like I had a download from the gods. In that, somewhere along the way, I stopped watching the news. I do not watch the news. I've got no idea what's going on in the last 18 months out there. No idea. And as a result, my life. Yeah. So I don't. People say, "Oh, have you seen what's happening?" I've got no idea. I'd rather be uninformed and happy than informed and miserable.
And that's if you're even uninformed. I mean, that's if what they're sharing with you is correct. We won't pop down the conspiracy whole theory right now, but I'm exactly the same.
Can I just say something about that conspiracy theory? I remember I was pro-government, pro-everything they did. And I remember having an argument with a good friend of mine on Twitter about how he was a conspiracy theorist. 18 months later, I went on Twitter and I said, Jamie is a former professional boxer. Jamie Moore. I said to Jamie Moore, hey, Jamie, I was wrong. Everything he said, everything was 100% correct. And that just shows you. So I think there's a real cynicism about what we're actually being fed. And you are what you eat, you are what you see, you are what you hear. Make certain that what you eat, what you see, what you hear is actually what you want.
Absolutely. No, I made exactly the same decision because, they're just a group of people that are trying to have their own agenda pushed upon people at the end of the day, aren't they, for their own personal gain? And all these groups and societies and communities are all alike. We all just want, what's best for us and can help us move forward in life. Some people have a more positive spin and want to bring others with them, and some others don't. And I probably did that way before. I actually, do you know what? I've never listened to the news, and that was because before I just couldn't care. Now I'm trying to avoid it.
Nothing's changed.
And it's interesting because I just moved into this apartment block in Canary Wharf, and they have the news in the lift on the way up, and now I'm forced to watch it every morning. But it's like breaking news, and it's just like miserable terror, and it's just a way of fear equals control, doesn't it? And we could easily dive down this ladder, and I'm fully with you on that. But I'd love to hear more about you. So tell me about some of the most difficult moments in your journey, or the most difficult moment in your journey over the last 20 years.
It depends. It's probably about 4 or 5. I've got a picture on my wall of me having a nervous breakdown. Great, because I just come off stage, and this is in 2012, I think November the 17th, 2012. I just come off stage at the business show, which was the biggest business show in the UK at Excel. And my photographer captured a photograph. It's like an Obama war room moment of me talking to my chairman, Terry Cooper. And it's the most famous photograph that I have of my entire professional career. And it is one of me saying to him, I quit. And it was captured by my photographer. And he said to me, he said, Brad, because everything that could go wrong did. This is a great example of success. That's what was going on here. I had success. By everything, I had nothing. My wife didn't give 2 about me. The kids didn't recognize me. I'm 3 stone heavier. I'm addicted to Red Bull and sleeping tablets. I've got legal problems. I've got business, but everything could go wrong. But seemingly, bosh. So anyway, I said to him, I quit. He said, do you trust me? I said, yeah. He said, well, you ain't quitting. He said, let me tell you something. I get it. You're scared. I get it. This is unusual for you, but you've come too far to allow these to take you down. So do you trust me? I said, 100%. He said, right. He said, we're going to put a date down in 6 months' time. And in 6 months' time, if you still want to quit, I'll let you quit. What do you say? I said, okay. said high five the deal. That was it. And that kept me up. And so that was the most difficult thing ever. And the fact that it's captured it's fascinating. It's on my wall. It always reminds me that actually I got through what really was the most difficult. And the great thing about getting through difficult situations, if you say to my wife, she's got a council tax bill going out in 3 days' time and we've not got the money. Oh, how stressed I am. Oh, it's a 9 out of 10. Okay. 5 and 2 bullets put through your window. Where's your 9 now? Oh, it's a 2. Okay. So what this allows you to do whenever you've dealt with any in my case, getting shot at or that situation, it allows you to recalibrate any kind of problem. So anything that comes my way generally is probably a half of what a normal person would look at, or third, because of that recalibration.
Absolutely. And this is something that's been coming up in a lot of the previous episodes I've been doing, perspective. Something that's only as bad as, the lens in which you're looking through. And this is why this podcast is so powerful for people, because they get to see these different perspectives and, push their problems, into alignment and realize that, is it something to actually worry about? There's the expression, don't spend 5 minutes worrying about something that you won't worry about in 5 years or something like that, isn't it?
Yeah, a couple of things here. All problems have a worse before date, right? All problems have a worse before date. That thing that you're going through, guess what? Somebody's got through it. That's the reality of it. And actually spend more time in the solution than you do in the problem. And actually, I think to myself now is that, whatever comes your way, ask yourself this question: have I done everything possible to fix this thing? Yes. Stop fucking worrying about it. No. Go and do what the fucking hell that thing is. That's it. Because we spend so much time worrying. The great thing about worrying is it works, because everything you worry about never happens. Yeah,
it's true. So true. And I tell people that. I say they want to do something. They have all these stories, don't they? And I had Dr. John DeMartini in the podcast recently. He said something like, I don't care about your wipey, weenie, snotty little stories. And this is coming from a doctor, behavioral expert. And it's true. It is, because it is these stories that are just created to try and keep us safe, but they never happen, do they? They never happen. And that's.
Do you have a crystal ball?
No.
See, I do. Right now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, no, I actually do. And actually, if you're gonna predict the future, predict a positive one, right? Oh my God, if that happens, what happens if it doesn't happen? My wife's got like a 5-year plan. I said, I do not know what's happening in the next 5 minutes. So you can have this great plan for 5 years. There could be nuclear missiles heading our way as a result of Russia or whatever, or aliens coming from the planet Zog from 8 billion miles away right now that are completely out of our control. I speak, as I do, globally, and I was asked the question, when the pandemic landed on the 22nd of March, 2020, how long did you think it was going to last for? And most people say 3 months. Okay? That was 1,011 days ago, 1,111 days ago. And the reality is with this whole thing is this: nobody knows. So you can spend all your time trying to do this, and then a black swan comes out of nowhere. My business, if it would have been a 10 million or 100 million pound business, it wouldn't have made any difference. It would have still collapsed. That's a reality. Through no fault of my own. I did everything right. Through no fault of my own. Boom. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. I look at it and I go, what is the point in building something like that when actually I can do whatever I want right now? So in my life, I can pretty much do whatever sensibly I want to do in my life. If I go and build up a business, I'm 50, bear in mind my dad died at 53, right? And
mine too, actually, interestingly, 53. Right.
And do you know what age you're going to die, Lewis?
No idea. 140, I hope.
Yeah, but it's always 20 years later than you actually are, older than you are. It's always 20 years older. And we all think we're going to outlive our peers. And actually, it's a fallacy. So therefore, I've got all these people. I spoke at an event. A guy came up to me crying. Big, I always remember a massive lump. I don't know, maybe 6'8", like 24 stone, massive. And he came up to me crying. Said, I wish I'd have listened to you, blah, 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 2 years ago. Go on. I've got a business, £24 million business, a travel company, and we promised my wife I was going to, this year, she died before we went on this world cruise that I promised her. Like, nobody fucking knows. So whatever you're going to go and do it. Stop talking about doing it, do it. And this is the thing with it, like, nobody knows. So I'm at that stage right now. I didn't know, whatever day it was, let's say January the 1st, I think it was, 1995, I did not know that the next day I'm going to wake up and there's going to be 2 bullets through my window and I'm going to have to move overnight. No idea. I had no idea that was going to happen. I had no idea that I was going to have a nervous breakdown there. I had no idea that the pandemic was going to come. I had no idea that I was going to get a stalker through somebody that I met for 30 seconds at one of my events 3.5 years ago. I had no idea.
So, Brad, you just mentioned something there which I think is quite interesting. You mentioned that you've had a stalker, and of course, this podcast is all about the dark side of success, and we don't want to make it all, glitz and glamour. And you've already highlighted, a few things that are less desirable about the world of entrepreneurship and business. But having a stalker is probably not something that everyone's experienced. And I don't know if this is probably a controversial thing to say, but I probably think it's less likely that a male would have a stalker as well. I should imagine that's probably more lent towards women usually, but maybe that's probably not appropriate. I'll probably get cancelled for that now. Anyway, so tell me about the stalker, Brad.
So a couple of things here. Statistically, you're right, it's generally females, but when you're a good looking, handsome, charismatic person like me, you're a charmer. Guess what? Of course. You're going to get snake charmer. So 3 years ago, 2019, I think it was. Yeah, 2019, it was January 31st, 2019, at one of my events, 200 people there, Aston Villa Football Club, 200 people there, amazing event, genuinely groundbreaking. And at the end of it, people come up to me and somebody came up with a friend of mine and said, hey, this individual I know, can she introduce you? She wants to introduce him and take a photograph. Yeah, boom, boom, that was it. Room full of 200 people, 1 minute conversation, that was it. If you go to bradburton.biz/stalker, you'll see what's happened. So then about 3 months later, Brad's killed my cat. He's poisoned the cat. He's put a tracking device.
Hold on a minute. Sorry, because I didn't even catch that. Did you say that he killed your cat?
No, she
claimed, killed your cat.
No, she claimed I killed her cat.
Right. Okay. I was shocked. Yeah. I mean, that's pretty shocking. But she killed your cat.
Listen, it gets worse. So she claimed I killed the cat. She claimed to put tracking devices on her laptop, that I've been putting bricks through a window. Bear in mind, this is somebody who lives in Manchester. I live in Somerset, so 200 miles away. Claimed that I've had a 10-year campaign versus this individual. 10 years. Bear in mind, I met her probably 6 months prior, and it just went on and on and on and on and on. And actually, things like
people believe in this stuff at the time. Were you getting some hate from the people that were like, oh, "Brad's this dodgy"?
So here's the great thing: is that I run a national network. So if I go and put you in a room with 10 people, there is somebody who's not going to like you. There's going to be one person. I put you in a room with 100 people. 100%. 10 people are not going to like you. 1,000, 100 people, 10,000, 1,000 people. Nature of my business, bear in mind, 68,000 business networking meetings across the UK. I've had to throw people out of the groups. People, you go and get thousands of members, you're going to get people that have done terrible shit that you find out about and have bundled them out. Robbing people, sex, whatever. I've taken them out. So these individuals, I don't turn around when I've taken them out and go, oh, guess what? I've just removed the sex offender. And I've never done that. So I removed probably 30 people in that time. So this person goes on social media, oh, hi guys, little woman, I'm being attacked by Brad Burton, I'm standing up for a little bit. And bosh, people have then got on that. Because if you do it correctly, you can play that game, default position, man bad, woman good. That's it, right? And actually, the nature of who and what I look aggressive. That's the nature of it. My first tagline whenever I walk on stage is just put your mind at ease. I am from Salford, Manchester. Do have a shade there, do have tattoos, but don't worry, I'm not a drug dealer anymore, because we can all change and it opens up. So this happened day in, day out. And obviously what happens, we sent legals to her, spent thousands of pounds on legals. She just posted the legals up and just laughed and said, you can do what you want, I've got no money. Right? So this happened day in, day out. So we just blocked and whatever. 18 months in of this. 18 months in. And if you go and Google Brad Burton, you'll find, on social media, 18 months in, she then goes on and says that I'm having an affair, that I'm all sorts of right? And it just went on and on and on and just all made up. Oh, that was it. A stalker protection order. She's got a stalker protection order versus me. She forged a police document and put it up online. Hey guys, just to mate, that
and people latch onto that. So your haters will latch onto that and they're like, perfect, a lovely bit of evidence that I can now run with.
Correct. And actually it's not evidence, it's made up. Now here's the thing, like if you go onto my LinkedIn and go and have a look, and you'll be able to see it. So we have ignored this. She got arrested. Devices seized last September, right? Devices seized last September, 3 devices, and they've all been evidential. A charging decision has been made and it's now in the system. There's a backlog, right? That is because of the pandemic, there's a backlog of cases. There's a charging decision which is coming her way that she's blissfully aware of. Okay? So this is the thing. I've done nothing wrong. I've played everything right. But nothing could have prepared me for this. This is just outrageous. And as you said, you get these people that for whatever reason they're jealous or don't like you, are going to seize on this thing and run with it and amplify it. And it's really dark when actually, even if you block somebody, you wake up to 40 notifications saying, Brad, have you seen what X person said about you?
Yeah, that's horrible.
Right. So and nothing prepares you for that. And when you first get punched in the mouth, it's really disorientating. The 100th time you get punched in the mouth, it's just getting punched in the mouth. So I'm good with it now. I'm genuinely good. I put a post for the first time ever. I actually went on social media yesterday and I put a post about this. It's my tagged LinkedIn post. I've never done anything. I've had a page, which anyone who tags me about it, I just send it to them. But yesterday I thought, you know what, we've done it. Enough's enough. But yeah, you never, when I first started my business off, 25 grand in debt, etc., right? Delivering pizzas. Here's the price for success. Nervous breakdown, had 2.5 years it took me to get back. 3 burnouts, 2 weeks apiece, where actually my wife said, do you want a cup of coffee? Right? This is me, by the way, super sharp, boom, 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 gone. That's happened 3 times. What else? Oh, lost friends. I've got a stalker. I was 3 stone heavier. I got addicted to energy drinks and sleeping tablets. The list goes on. The list goes on. And this is what I'm trying to say. There's a price to pay for your success. And actually, you need to make damn certain. I've got type 2 diabetes as well. You need to look at this here and say to it, I had a marriage breakdown, we had a divorce lawyer booked. The children didn't know me. But I've got a multi-million-pound business and I've got a BMW i8. This is what we end up doing. What people end up doing is get a 40-inch television. And they go, I'll be happy when they get a 40. They get a 40, they want a 60, they get a 60, they want an 80, they get an 80, they want 100. Now it's a 100-inch curve. Now you've got to have a cinema room. And your problem is this, if you always turn left and go first class everywhere, it's no longer first class, it's standard. And this is what we, as human beings, we're in danger zone because we lose a piece of ourselves. We believe that success is this, and this. Take it from me, as a 50-year-old man who's old enough to be your dad, right? It's not enough. You need to be content. You need to get happy. And if you ain't content and you ain't happy and you make a load of money because that's what you think where you're happy and content is, you're going to come unstuck. Trust me. I've got friends of mine that have got millions accessible, fluid, liquid cash. They can buy anything they want, 20 supercars, and they are not happy, right? 20, not happy. And this is the myth and the fallacy. That this is what success is. Let me tell you something right now, what success is. Success is being happy and content. And that will blow people's minds because you think, oh, shut up, Brad, you tosspot. You have no idea what you're talking about. Take it from me. As a man who had everything, yet had nothing, that isn't success. Yeah.
Well, I've got a question for you then. How do you get happiness and content?
By recognizing that it doesn't come from buying flash cars. And actually, I'm serious. You have to be comfortable in who and what you are. And until you get comfortable of who and what you really are, you are never going to be happy. I don't know anyone who's more content and happy than me. I am a working class lad from Salford who lived on council estates, which is the lowest properties possible. And I live in a 5-bedroom house in Somerset, detached. No one's getting shot. No cars are being stolen. And I've written 4 books and I've got a life that I could never dream was possible. That is contentment. That is success. I'm not pushing for it. So I've got a 5-bedroom house. And when I was starting out, I wanted a 10-bedroom mansion. Right now, I've got 1 room that I don't go in my house. If I would have realized my dream of a 10-bedroom mansion, I'd have 6 rooms I don't go in. Right? And we end up chasing this stuff, believing that that's where happy and content lies. And when you've got your 10-bedroom house and you ain't happy and content, you go, I know why, because I need a bowling alley. And you get your bowling alley and you're still not happy and content. I know why. I need an arcade. It never ends. So right now, you have something that one of the richest men in the world doesn't have. Steve Jobs. You have it today, you have it tomorrow. How much do you think that Steve Jobs would give you for one day back on this planet of his Apple reserves? I would suggest he would give you $200 billion. That says to me that today is worth $200 billion, but you take it for granted. You take your life for granted. You take your health for granted. You take what you've got for granted because it's never enough until it's on your dying breath and you realize that actually it was always enough. I am 50 now. I am way over my halfway point of my life. I have nothing to gain. I'm not selling you any courses. I'm not doing nothing. All I'm trying to do is wake people the up to that this is your life, that you're not on autopilot. By all means, I get nice things. I love nice things. I love money. But there's something more important than all that stuff, life. And it's the thing that we're so busy fast forwarding to the next good bit, like a film. Let's fast forward to the next good bit when I'm on holiday, when I get married, when I open that business, when I get that new client. And one day you're not in a position to fast forward anymore because you're dead.
Yeah.
Right? You know, you are 45 minutes closer to death listening to this. And this is what you need to understand, right? You're about chasing this shit. It doesn't matter. Do you reckon on your dying breath I'm going to go, oh, thank Christ that Brad Burton had a national network and a BMW i8? No, I'm going to thank that I actually spent time with my family. I'm religious. Radism. Help many, hurt few, live life. That's my religion, the one that I live by. If you're going to make up religions and gods, make up your own. Wow.
Well, I've got something to sort of not oppose that, agree that and oppose it in one sense, because something we talk a lot about, and this is a little bit of a plug, but it's genuinely because it is what we stand for. At the Coaching Masters, we train, qualify life coaches, and we help them build their own freedom-based, passion-led online coaching business. And that's how we position it, because that's what it's all about. And we talk about helping people and making money at the same time. The reason for that is you get both the freedom, because you can work wherever you want, you can earn good money, you don't have to report into a boss, to a stable job that you could be getting paid, made redundant from at any moment. Yep. But you also get the chance to help people, and it feels rewarding and fulfilling knowing that you're making a contribution to the planet. So what I would suggest is, yes, we can have those things. They don't always look materialistic, I guess. You know, to me, I've lived out of 2 suitcases in Bali for the last 4 years. You know, and I haven't had anything. Don't have a car. Don't have a house.
No. You absolutely have everything. You have these amazing views, and this is the thing. So what you've done, the fact that you can live out of a suitcase, that means that you've got a car that you can go and tap at any point and eat, drink what the you want. So it's not really living out. Right, you've got the biggest cocktail known to man called the world. So when I go back down to what you're saying here, I'm agreeing with you. I am about making a positive difference, and as a result of making a positive difference, I make money. That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay? But what I'm trying to say is, I call it that whole thing that people are chasing this unattainable dream, because even if you get it, right, at some point it's going to fall away. And if your identity is wrapped up in me being Mr. 4 networking and running a network of 68,000 networking meetings, if my identity is wrapped up in that and it gets taken away through no fault of my own, I am fucked. Because this is what ends up happening. So by having your identity, which is just me on my own doing my thing in the way that I am, you know, like fleet of foot, I'm good. But if my identity was wrapped up in who I was 3 years ago, I'd be in big trouble. And that's what I see a lot of people right now, director teams that I work with, are trying to get back to normal, whatever the fuck normal is. And the best way to describe it is director teams chasing a chicken with a tag with normal on it, and they're all running after it, and they're all burnt out trying to get back to it. And I'm not trying to go back to a time nor place that doesn't exist anymore. For me, it's about going forward. And I've realized at 50-year-old, I'm old enough to be a dad. At 50-year-old, I am telling you right now, what you are doing with your life is perfect. Is perfect. Right?
Thanks, Dad.
Well, listen, Brad the dad. But rather than driving around Western-super-Mare in a fucking R35 and beeping at girls, okay? But you know, what I'm trying to say is, what you're doing right now is the right thing to be doing. But you're not living out of a suitcase. I think it's a fallacy to pretend that you're living out of a suitcase and that somewhere along the way you're Mr. Frugal, because you ain't, right? So let's not pretend that. But what you are doing is right, and I wish I'd have done what you did, because one of my biggest regrets in life is not traveling as much.
Well, you still can, Brad. You're not dead yet.
Yeah, not yet. I've got about 3 years according to my dad's timetable. Yes.
Cool. So let's talk about something that you've sort of spoken about a bit, but you know, haven't really explained the impacts that must have had on you. So obviously, pandemic hits. You got this huge company, and I think you said it just wiped 80% of it away overnight, right? How did that affect you? And you know, now you're looking back on it saying, because one of the biggest, this podcast is called Turning Your Adversity into an Asset. Yeah. It's all about how can I turn something that's bad into something that's good. And you obviously done that, because you're telling me you're the most content and happy you've ever been. It's peaceful. You're making more money. So things are good now. But at the time when that hit you, I should imagine it probably wasn't as pleasant as it was a couple of years down the line once you figured things out.
A couple of things here. Boris Johnson, please stay at home, right? So national network with thousands of members, gone. Pretty much overnight. Wow, but we took it online. We was the first network to take it online. We took our network online. And at first there was this kind of, yes, because actually people were looking for things. What do? We start at home. So we kind of give you inspiration there. And then I also had the stalker at the same time. So I've got the stalker at the same time. I'm dealing with that. Plus I'm dealing with pandemic. Plus £80,000 a month costs before we even start. And it's like balancing out. So that's it. Yeah. So it was tough. But here's the thing. I've come from council estates. I've come from the point where you've got no money. You get paid your gyro, your benefits, your social security money on the Monday. And then by Wednesday, you're skinned, and now you've got 10 days of no money. I've done it. So this is the life that I lead. So fortunately, I could fall back on that experience to go, right, we've got to get lean. There were months where I didn't get paid, months. And actually, once you're used to a certain level of income, what's great about this is I've cut my cloth accordingly. Now I'm in a situation where I would go out and I'd buy 6 bottles of champagne the old days. Off. Can't think of anything more stupid now. I have no one to impress. So this is the thing about it. I've got no one to impress. So yes, it was dark, it was tough, but we adapt. If you want to put it in perspective, which is the word you used before. Try having all your problems that you've got and then living in Ukraine and having some cluster bombs dropping off and your kids are all terrified and you've got your bags and stuff in plastic bags and you're being pursued by Russian soldiers. Then you've got fucking problems. So my problems, my business is, shut up, you knobhead. And that's why I put it in perspective. And any problems that you've got right now, go and grab yourself a blank piece of paper and write them on the bottom. I've got a bill going out next week. I'm arguing with my wife. And then just keep putting lines above it, how it can be fucking worse. And by the time you've got stage 4 cancer at the top of your list and you look down and you go, you know what? Things are okay.
I love it. I thought I was quite blunt and direct. And now I've met you properly, I realised that I'm actually quite soft.
You know what? The reality is, listen. I recognise that you make change through slapping and tickling, right? I've realised something. I've changed my entire life. I'm a Salford Street kid, proper, right? That's who I am. And yet that's not who I am because I changed and I changed my way that I think about myself. My identity, the first person you've got to convince of your brilliance is you. I'm the UK's #1 motivational business speaker. And people say, oh, no, you're not. I say, who is it? Well, I don't know, but it's not you. And I said to them, let me ask you a question. I said, who's the greatest boxer of all time? They say, Muhammad Ali. Why do you think that is? Because he called himself the greatest, right? That was it. Now, when I called myself the UK's #1 motivational business speaker, people were aghast. I knew exactly what I was doing. You know why? Because it's a term that never fucking existed until I made it up. You go on Google and find the UK, go and find the motivational business speaker. It never existed. I'm the first person ever. It sounds like it's been here forever. I created that term. So no one's got ownership of it. And this is what you need to do. What I'm going to show you right now for camera is 2 trophies. The UK's #1 motivational business speaker and the Britain's #1 personal development guru. Both trophies I paid $12.99 a piece for, right? I'm not waiting for anyone to give me fucking permission, and nor should you, right?
I love that.
Waiting what? I'm gonna
Identity is powerful.
What I've got to go and do? I've got to go and buy a table at £200 a head for £1,000 and sit around and hope that somebody has voted for me. Off. And this is what I'm trying to say. The first person you've got to convince of your brilliance is you. Don't worry about convincing your clients. Convince you, because if you don't 100% believe in your business and what you're doing, don't get upset when you sit opposite your customers or potential clients and they don't 100% believe in it either. And if you've got a plan B, well, if it doesn't work out with the coaching, off. What do you mean if it doesn't work out? You're already 1 foot out the door, and we leak the truth. I can sit in front of anyone, I can suss them out in a nanosecond. No one in the UK has sat down with more people on a 10-minute basis than me. The nature of my network, that's what we did at every single meeting. 3 10-minute one-to-ones with people you want to have a chat with. I've done thousands of them. So I don't believe there's anyone that can extrapolate an individual really in such a short space of time. And I'm telling you now, people leak the truth. Make damn certain that what you're selling is what you 100% believe in.
Well, I'll actually let you into a little secret now. And to everyone listening, they may not realize this, but actually we did the exact same thing in a sense where me and my business partner, Liam, we started our business. We called the business The Coaching Masters. And that was me and him. We decided we were going to be the Coaching Masters. And as a result of that, we were. And since then, that identity has broadened out into the community, and now the community are the Coaching Masters. So it's a broader identity statement that other people can get behind and believe in themselves because of. But it all started off because we were those Coaching Masters. So absolutely, I'm with you on that one. And you just decide. I've been speaking to some people as well, and they're like, one particular guy recently who has been a coach for 12 years, and he's studied so many different disciplines, and he was talking about pivoting his niche and stuff like this. I said, call yourself an expert, and he was like, oh, I don't think I can. I was like, well, when can you? What qualifies you? But what's the moment that you get to say that? It's a decision. That's all it is.
A couple of things. An expert is someone that has made all the mistakes in a particular niche field. When it comes to motivational speaking, I've made them all. I've been on stage, I've died 100 times. And every single time, most normal people go, I'm never doing that again. Me, I said, what did I like best? What would I do differently next time? So people are scared of making decisions because they're the wrong ones. If you make a decision and it's a wrong one, it moves you one step towards being an expert. You make the right one, it moves you to one step towards being a success. But when it comes to this, if you can do the job, you're qualified, okay? Now, unless, of course, you're flying in 747, at which point I'd quite like in 7 years at flight school. But in the round, or a brain surgeon, in the round, if you can do the job, you're qualified. I've got 0 qualifications, well, other than the ones that I've made up. Because anyone that sells a qualification or anyone who's got a qualification, I just made it up. So therefore, I made my own one up. Simple as that.
True. Even like traditional education, I mean...
100%.
Where's that actually come from?
Yeah, absolutely. Somebody smart has said, guess what? This is a qualification. That this will, and this is what I'm trying to say. Stop waiting for permission. Go and do it. Whatever it is.
Love it. All right. So as we wrap this up, you've shared lots of value, lots of things that people are going to take away. And I love the sort of straight talking. If you've had these 10-minute, actually, do you know what? 2 things. So you said that you can sort of sum people up from these meetings. First of all, I'd love to know what you think of me.
I would rather take it offline, I think.
Okay, fair enough. All right, okay.
I'd rather
fair enough. All right, you're gonna rip me apart. You're gonna fucking rip me to pieces.
But I, you know, from an experienced eye, there's things that I see about you, no 2 ways about it, that I'd prefer to share with you offline. Cool.
Well, I'm gonna take you up on that. And the other piece is, because you spoke to so many people and you've learned so many things, because for me, I know there's a couple of, I call them golden nuggets. There's some things that, you know, people, if I had 5 minutes with someone in the room to change their life, I know where I'd go, you know? And you've obviously shared a few of those now throughout this podcast. But if there was one last one that you haven't shared, you know, the biggest golden nugget you can help somebody specifically, though, hopefully aligned to somebody who's in adversity now.
Yeah.
So they're somebody who's, and they've got those stories repeating in their head. They want to go out and make something of themselves. They want to make assets in their life and turn adversity into an asset. What would you say to them?
There's no correlation between time spent on a decision and it being the right or wrong one. None. Okay, this is fact. I work with people on this basis. So when it comes to making a decision, I'm the easiest person in the world to sell to. I will make a decision in 24 seconds. If I can't make a decision in 24 seconds, I'll revisit in 24 minutes. If after 24 minutes I can't make a decision, I'll revisit in 24 hours. If after 24 hours I can't make a decision, I've just made a decision. It's not important. Next. And by using the 24-24-24 method, you will absolutely change your world, change your life. And actually, where you end up in your life and your world is a direct result of your decisions. So the more decisions that you can make correctly, the better and further forward you are going to life. But if you think about anyone that's stagnated or not moving, it's because they're unwilling to make a decision. They can't get beyond the shit relationship they're in. They don't want to spend the money. So they remain stuck. So 24, life-changing stuff.
Love it. Well, thank you so much. Is there anything else you want to share? If people want to find you, where's the best place that they can catch you?
BradBurton.biz. I'll just go and Google me, Brad Burton. I'd love to connect with every single individual.
He is the UK's #1 motivational business speaker. So all you got to do is put his name in. He's going to pop to the top because he decided he was. It's been a pleasure talking to you, Brad. Really, really appreciate it. Thank you for joining us on Turning Your Adversity into an Asset.
Keep going, friend.